talk about the futures. A lot of people have obviously been hip to the benefits of trading the S&P 500, which is SPY. And so I just wanted to go a little bit in depth about the benefits of actually hedging and using SPY and using the VIX. And then I dropped another ticker in there that I hope that you guys get hip to this week as well. So let's go ahead and get started. Hopefully you guys can hear me pretty well. And I will try to speak as slowly as possible so that, I know I talk a little fast sometimes. So, tips for utilizing the futures and ways to hedge your portfolio. All right. So, first and foremost, I have to give the disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor, and this is in no way financial or trading advice. I am simply sharing options trading strategies that I use and have been successful with in the stock market. This presentation is for entertainment and educational purposes only. There are significant financial risks involved with trading, and I am not responsible for your losses in the market should you decide to utilize the information and or strategies discussed within this presentation. By choosing to proceed, you are acknowledging your understanding of this disclaimer. All right, so what are the futures? The futures are financial contracts that obligate the buyer to purchase an asset or the seller to sell an asset and have a predetermined future date and price. A futures contract allows an investor to speculate on the direction of a security, commodity, or financial instrument. Futures are commonly used to hedge the price movement of the underlying asset to prevent losses from unfavorable price changes. What futures can you trade? There are commodity futures like crude oil and natural gas, corn and wheat. There are stock indexes futures like the S&P 500, which is also referred to as the E-mini. And if you see this little misspellings here and there, you guys, please know that I try to do talk to text as much as I can just to help out my hands. There are currency futures, which include the euro and British pounds. There are precious metal futures, which include gold and silver, and there is a US Treasury future for bonds and other products. Now, what do we need to know when trading and or viewing the futures? Futures for major indexes such as the S&P 500, Dow Jones Industrial Average, and the NASDAQ begin trading at 6 p.m. Eastern on Sunday nights and stop trading at 5 p.m. on Friday. There is also a halt every single day of the trading day, or the trading week rather, at 4:15, and it resumes at 4:30. So between 4:15 and 4:30. Traders utilize the futures to get a gauge of how the market will open and or perform the next day or during the current trading day. I also put something out into the community that lets you know the particular ETFs that you can trade up until 4:15, and the S&P or SPY is one of them. So you can actually trade SPY up until 4:15 p.m. To find real-time data on the futures, you can go to Yahoo Finance, CNBC, iloveinvesting.com. You can also go there, and there are so many other resources that you can use, even within your brokerage, but sometimes there is a fee associated with that real-time data. But I would encourage you to get it. Now, how some traders hedge. Using the futures can be used to hedge the price movement of the underlying asset. Here, the goal is to prevent losses from potentially unfavorable price changes rather than to speculate. Many companies that enter hedges are using, or in most or many cases, producing the underlying asset. So we're going to talk about ETFs, and I just want to give you guys a background on what an ETF is. It's an index, or it tracks an index, a commodity, bonds, or baskets of securities. Owning ETFs can help hedge risks associated with individual companies, and it allows investors to get involved with an entire index or industry with a single investment. This is very different from investing in a stock, because when you're investing in an ETF, you get to actually basically get a piece of every company that's being held within that ETF. But when you're trading stocks, it's just that individual company that you're trading. And I'm going to give you an example of what I mean here. So SPY. Basically, SPY is the S&P 500, which is an ETF, also known as SPY. It's one of the most popular funds that aims to track the Standard and Poor's 500 index, which comprises 500 large and mid cap US stocks. So, whenever you see us in the morning, I like to drop Yahoo Finance and I let you know what the futures are doing. And the reason why is because if you look within these ETFs, they have a lot of holdings, but some of the top holdings within SPY would be Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, the Alphabets, Tesla, Berkshire Hathaway, and JP Morgan Chase and Company. So whenever you see these companies are not doing so well, you can almost get a gauge for what SPY is doing. And so that's something to always keep in mind. Just look at their top holdings. If their top holdings aren't doing so well, 9 times out of 10, SPY may not be doing as well. Now, this is the ticker that I told you that I was going to drop that I want you guys to also become familiar with. I gave out homework for SPY, but this is another one to do your homework on because a lot of people don't know is that QQQ oftentimes outperforms SPY. And these are the top holdings that are within QQQ, which is also an ETF. And it includes 100 of the largest international and domestic companies listed on the NASDAQ stock exchange. So this again is a really good one for you guys to do your homework on because you may not want to trade SPY, you may want to trade QQQ. And it's one that I actually like myself. Now, when it comes to VIX, and also for any of you who are on Robinhood, you're not going to see the VIX on there, but you may see VXX. So Victor X-ray, X-ray, someone who does phonetics and who's probably in the military, that probably made you cringe, but VXX is tradable on Robinhood, but VIX is not. So VIX, so when you're looking at SPY and VIX are inversely correlated. So basically as SPY goes up, VIX usually goes down and vice versa. The VIX it basically is a measure of the level of implied volatility, not historical or statistical volatility of a wide range of options based on the S&P 500. This indicator is known as the investor fear gauge because it reflects investors' best predictions of near-term market volatility or risk. In general, VIX starts to rise during times of financial stress and lessens as investors become complacent. It is the market's best prediction of near-term market volatility. So please, you guys, keep this one on your radar because it will help you to hedge your portfolio. So again, as SPY goes up, VIX goes down. So if you're starting to see SPY going down, you can easily do a play on VIX and vice versa. Now, I'm also going to go to a chart because this is going to be a part of tonight's homework. So we're going to do something together today, but just stick with me. So for tonight's homework, and this will be posted in Wealth Squad University. Some of you just go ahead and take a screenshot so you know what to do. Tonight's homework, we're going to pull up VIX. We're going to map out the support and resistance level on the month, the week, and the daily chart and see which ones are similar or meet between the 3 time frames. And you don't have to go all the way back to the beginning of time. I like to say IPO dates. You don't have to go that far back, but you want to stay relevant to the most current price action. So the closest levels around the current price action. And when you get done, this is what it should look like. You should have the current price of VIX. You should have a few levels on the monthly chart for support and resistance, a few levels for the weekly chart on support and resistance, and the daily chart on support and resistance. Now, what this is going to do is going to help you to develop a system, which will also ultimately help you to become a better trader. And you can use these levels to trade VIX. But once you get down to the daily time frame, you may want to take it a little bit further. If you want to do intraday trading, you may want to look at the 4-hour chart, the 1-hour chart, and find your entries. If you enter off of the 15 or the 5, you may want to find your entries off of those levels. Okay, so I'm going to say that again. If you're looking to intraday trade, you're going to find the lower levels or the smaller levels within the daily time frame. And then you're going to use the 15 or the 5 to gauge your entry. So that should help you, just like it helped you all when it came to SPY, this should help you as well. So this is going to be your little cheat sheet of how you should fill that out. And then you also want to make sure that once you map out your levels of support and resistance, what I want you guys to do is click on that horizontal line. And I want you to set an alarm A lot of charting platforms are very sophisticated these days. You can click on the horizontal line of support and or resistance, and you can set an alert so that every time price action hits that line, you are alerted. That way you do not miss out on your trading opportunities. All right. So we're going to do one little quick thing together. We're just going to look at the monthly chart on VIX. I'm just going to give you guys a really quick little, a little assistance. It would be great if we could do this together, but because of how, I don't know, convoluted things can get with everybody unmuting, I don't know how this would work. I wish that we had a way to do this together, but either way, I'm going to show you what I mean when I say drawing support and resistance, because when I put out the homework last week, I noticed that a lot of people put levels on the monthly chart when it was only one candlestick that touched that line. And it's not a true support or resistance unless you have multiple taps on that line. So what I mean is this line right here, unless price action has hit this level previously, this would not be considered a resistance point unless I were able to go all the way back and see that price action actually respected it, which it did. It actually did respect that particular line. So maybe that wasn't the best example. I'm gonna do it here. I'm gonna adjust this right here, and that'll give you a clear understanding of what I mean. So that would be considered a, well, this is what I was seeing rather. I was seeing people selecting lines like this and saying that that's a resistance, but price action didn't respect this particular line more than once. So it's not a true resistance, if that makes sense to you guys. So I just wanted to show you that. And it's the same thing with support. You want to make sure that you have price action respecting that line more than one time in order for it to be a true level of support or resistance. Okay. All right. So Ray, we can go ahead and open up for questions. And while we're doing that, I'm just going to leave this chart up so that people could just, see what I'm doing.
All right. If you have any questions, go ahead and raise your hand. And then we'll select on call. Devin Foreman, you can go ahead and ask your question.
You ain't had to say my last name. Hey, Kay, happy belated birthday. Look like you had a good time, Kay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Could you show, like when I bring up the strat, mine don't come with the 2, 1, and 3s on it. How do you put yours with the so come up with that?
So this right here is what you would select. So if you can see this, it says candle type the strat. So what you would do is you would go to your indicators. It's already over here for me, but you can simply just type in candle type and the strat and just select it. And I would highly recommend going ahead and making it a favorite, just in case you switch charts and you ever lose it. It'll just show up in your favorites and you don't have to go through that whole process again.
All right, candle type the strats. Thank you.
Candle type the strat, yes. And it's for the time frame continuity. Someone brought up that it's showing NA. It's just going to do that. Just move it out of your way so that you're not, bogged down with that.
All right, thank you.
No problem. This looks like a level.
All right, Kennedy, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Hey, y'all. This actually not. I'm on my daughter's iPad. Yeah.
No shame in that.
Listen, right? I have FinViz, right?
Yes.
Do FinViz have a strat?
No.
FinViz is a screener. It doesn't have the strat. No, it's basically a screener, so you can just kind of filter out different things that you look for whenever you want to trade. But it doesn't have the strat. That would be cool.
Yeah, it would. Let me ask you this then. Is this like a elite chart of Trading View? Would I have to pay for this one?
What I'm using?
Yeah.
No, you don't have to pay for this one. The good thing about the Strat is that you don't really need all of these other indicators, but because I obviously have to teach, I have to be respectful of the people who use indicators too. So I try to leave as much on there so that I can show from both angles.
Gotcha. Thanks, y'all.
You know, the good thing about the Strat is if you do trade the Strat, all you need is the numbers on the candlesticks and time frame continuity, and you can get those two things for free. You don't have to pay for an upgraded version of anything.
Okay. Thanks. I appreciate it. Happy birthday.
Thank you so much. Oh, before you take the next person, I want y'all to know I'm very anal about like simple stuff like this. Whenever I'm looking at levels, I like to zoom in so that I can make sure that I'm getting the very, very tops of everything. So that may be a little trick for y'all too. All right, Ray, you can keep going, my friend.
All right. Shakia, you can go ahead and ask your question.
All right. So a quick question. I know a lot of times we talk about premium and how, making sure we get the best premium. But when we're scaling into a trade, how does that premium, getting the cheaper premium, work in our favor? If, as we scale in, the premium continues to increase.
I'm kind of confused on what you're asking. I'm so sorry. Ray, did you understand?
Well, I guess that with the premium, she's talking about scaling into the trade, but I think she's trying to reference like keeping it cheap. But it's just like that wouldn't really work because the premium is going to keep going up. The only thing is if you were going to scale into a trade, you might just have to select a higher strike price and scale in that way. If you wanted to keep it cheap, basically. Does that answer your question some? I think I'm saying her name right.
Yeah, sorry, the background got kind of loud, but yeah, that helps. Thank you.
No problem. Look at you doing this. We recording. All right. Anybody else have any questions or whatever? So that we can ask them. Also, for the people that like the Strat, I put out a video of some stuff I'm looking at in the channel showing you how I mark up stuff on Thinkorswim. Now I don't have my numbers up on Thinkorswim, because like if you hover over it on Thinkorswim, it'll give you the same thing with what I'm seeing on TradingView. It'll give you the open, high, low, close, and stuff like that. So you don't necessarily have to have the numbers on there. Once you understand what they mean. All right, Key, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, I'm new to the Strat and I'm trying to figure out what does the 1, 2, and 3 represent?
So the 1 represents the inside candle, which means it's inside of the previous candle because you're always going off the candle right before it. So a 1 is inside of the previous candle. A 2 is directional. Either it breaks the high of the previous candle or the low of the previous candle. If it breaks the high of the previous candle, it's a 2 up, no matter what color it is. It can be red or green. It's still a 2 up. If it breaks the low, then it's a 2 down. And then the 3 is basically your engulfing candle. It breaks the high and the low of the previous candle. It starts as a 2 in one direction, fails and goes in the other direction, which on a smaller time frame creates a broadening formation. So you can look at a 3 as basically an engulfing candle, a 1 as a candle that's inside, and then your 2s are your directional candles.
Thank you.
No problem. Hassan, you can go ahead and ask your question.
What's going on, Ray? If it's not too off topic, could you I've been watching the strat videos that you put into the Wealth Squad, and I'm kind of confused on the broadening formations. Could you do a quick rundown on how exactly do you mark those out?
Yeah, I can do that. Let me see. Which one is the better one? Is it CRM? All right, here we go. CRM. All right, okay. I'm gonna take your ugly screen off.
Go right ahead.
All right, so a broad information, all it is basically price likes to take out one side of the range and go back and take out the other. All right. So when you're drawing the broad information, you're going from a high back to a previous high. And in the videos, I talk about how price likes to take out pivots. Right. So when you see us mark the trades like right here, price is looking to take out these pivots going to the upside, which a pivot is where people place their stops at, obvious place that people place their stops at. All right. So when price moves and it takes out a range, it doesn't always take out every high or every low. Like sometimes it'll take out some and then reverse and go to the downside. All right. So I don't see anything higher than that. All right. So when I'm looking for broad information, this is on the weekly time frame. Basically, I'm looking for where price goes up, stops, and goes back in and goes to the downside. So right here, I would draw, oops, wrong drawing. Boom, there we go. I would draw my broad information from here, from this top, back here to this previous high. Because basically what happened was price went up, it took out this pivot and stopped and reversed and went to the downside. All right.
Okay.
And then on the low, how you could draw it, some people would draw it in a straight line back like that. That's kind of like how Alex option draws it or whatever. But basically, I draw it back to the pivot that it took out. So it went out and it took out this low right here. So I draw it back from this new current low back to here. And so like, let's say if price goes all the way down here and goes past it, then I would redraw it. But let's just say price stops right here and goes back to the upside, like what I think it is, the new broad information would start from here back to this low that it took out. And that's basically all it is. Because there would be new broad informations created. Like I said, sometimes it doesn't go all the way up here to the top and take this out. Sometimes it stop right here. On the broad informations that we prefer, it would go all the way up here, take this out, take out these, and then eventually try and take this out, which this is the all-time high. And then you would draw it from the new high back to here. But if you ever draw broad information, like let's say somebody drew one right here and it stops like how it did right here, you would draw the new one from where it stopped at, the new high that it stopped at, and where it reversed down to. So you would draw it from that new current high back, because now you have a broad information within a broad information. So you have a smaller range and you want to be aware of that.
Okay.
So does that help answer your question?
Yeah. Absolutely. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, no problem. All right, so now participants. Let's see. Ace, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Hey guys, how y'all doing? Quick question. I was actually gonna add about the broad information too. Do y'all use the resistant lines as well as the broad information lines when trading in the strategy, or are you just using the broad information?
I'm personally just using the broad information. I don't know how Kay has implemented it into hers, but I just use the broad information. I don't worry about the lines, because that'll put too many lines on my chart, and I'm trying to keep up with where my entry is. As you can see, it's like multiple entries I got right here. I got an entry for the week and I got an entry on the 1 hour. So having all those support and resistant lines would cloud up where my entry and take profit lines are at. Even if I changed them a bunch of different colors, just too distracting for me personally. But with the strat, the original teaching of Rob, he doesn't use horizontal lines. Like he doesn't respect horizontal support and resistance. That's why you just draw the broad information. So that answer your question.
Yeah, thank you. I
Okay.
I actually started doing resistance, and then I had the Browning formation, so it looks like a whole bunch of crosses. So I was trying to make sure. Yeah, I had watched Rob's video about the Browning formations, but I was just trying to make sure I understood that. I thought maybe I was setting resistance in the SPY just to type to gauge maybe the resistance levels, because we're kind of like watching what other people are doing and using their pivots. So I thought maybe y'all used it just to see like what other people would be getting in. But thanks. I'll use that. I'll just stick with the body formations.
All right. JV, Jay LaFleur, you can go ahead and ask your question.
All right. Thank you. I just want to say I thank you all for, giving all this free game away. I appreciate it. I just had a quick question though, because I was trying to do Forex and it's too confusing. I think that this probably more on my speed. So I was wondering, as far as the paper trading go, I tried to do it on Thinkorswim, but I think Ameritrade is a different one. So should I do?
No, they're the same company.
Oh, that
TD
is the
Ameritrade.
same.
Yeah, they
Okay.
just sometimes they have different apps. Like the desktop would be TD Ameritrade, but like the mobile app can be like Thinkorswim. I think they got a Thinkorswim and TD Ameritrade mobile app like separately, like they're two different apps, but they are the same company.
Oh, they are. Okay. And so I just real quick, I was just gonna say, how much money do I need to start this? I'm just trying to do little by little. So how much capital do I need, you think, just for a beginner once I paper trade for a month or two?
I mean, you can. What you say, Kay?
Oh no, that's my favorite question to answer for people when they ask that. One thing that I would recommend is whatever you're comfortable with losing. Obviously, we're not banking on losing, but because this is a risky game and nothing is certain, my biggest recommendation is whatever you're comfortable with losing and whatever your risk tolerance is. I don't know what you personally have in your account, but for example, if you have $1,000 and you're comfortable with losing $1,000, trade with $1,000, whatever you're not going to be hurt with if it all just goes away in the blink of an eye. You know what I mean? We're taking calculated risk here. We're not gambling. It's not like you're going to a casino, but still the market is so uncertain. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
whatever you're comfortable with losing, and you can trade. Like I've gotten into trades before where I may have bought something that was, I don't know, 15 cents, which is like $15. And I probably was able to like 4x that or 5x that, you know what I'm saying? So you can find cheap trades.
That was my next question. Thank you.
No problem. And the way that you do that is so finding cheap trades, you always have to think the cheaper the stock, the cheaper the option. You know what I mean? So it can be done. You don't
Thank
have
you so
to
much.
have several thousand to get it done. No problem.
Oh, let me see. Where is that? Thank you. There you go.
Okay.
Oops. My bad. Oh, let's see. Jaquan, you can go ahead and ask your question. Yeah, I see.
Hello.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hi. Okay. I was wondering. Okay, so let's say I'm looking at a stock and it's at $50, and I set a personal price target for $55. Now I get into the option and I choose that strike price of $55. What I'm trying to kind of understand is, how does the percentage on my option go up? Is it every dollar amount? Is it a certain cents amount? So like if it's from $50 and it goes up to $51, is that 10% added to my contract, or like 5% added? I'm not too sure how that works.
That is something that I unfortunately can't cover with the amount of time that we have, but I got you. I did a video on the Greeks. The Greeks is going to explain to you how your contract is going to move for every dollar it gains or loses. I'm going to post that into the chat for you. It's pretty lengthy, and that's the reason why, because there's so much that goes behind it than just a dollar moving. You have to factor in your delta, your gamma, omega, and things like that, your theta. So I'm going to send that into the chat. so that you have it, okay? And I want you to watch that because that will help you immensely. Plus, you need to know about the Greeks when you're trading options.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks so much. I was listening to Kia's book and he helped me explain. He explained the Greeks and all that to me. So I'm pretty good on that. But I was just really wondering if that's how the percentage goes on every dollar amount or whatever.
And it's not a specific percentage. One thing affects the other, and it just depends on what the percentage or the amount is. And so that's why I've watched or I've seen Key's breakdown as well, but I give a little bit different information. I'm not going to say more, but everybody has their style of breaking things and implementing things. So I put a little bit more in there, and hopefully that helps you. And like I said, I'll link it in there, but it's not a certain percentage. It's nothing set in stone. It's going to vary from stock contract to contract.
Okay. Thank you so much.
No problem. No problem at all. I wanted to really quickly, Ray, for the gentleman who asked about finding contracts and people who are trading with smaller account sizes, I have a very soft spot for you guys. So if really quickly, I just want to go to FinViz really quick and show them a quick way to find some things that could be inexpensive for them to trade, for those of you who just want to play around with that. So let me get pulled up here. And then I'll share my screen. All right. Okay. All right, so you guys are gonna have to just bear with me for just a moment because I'm gonna probably fumble through this a little bit. I play around with FinViz quite a bit. Can you guys see my screen? If you could put a 5 in the chat, that would be wonderful. Ray, can you see my screen?
What do you miss? Oh yeah, I see it.
Okay, all right, cool. So I'm in FinViz, and this is something that I use pretty much every day, right, to find particular stocks. So if you just hover over various things, right, it's going to tell you what everything means. So for people who want to trade potentially mid-cap stocks, you know, you can go to mid-cap, right? And this is just going to help filter. So let me take that filter away and show you what we're working with at first. So at first we're working with 8,084 stocks, right? But I'm going to go over here and I'm going to filter out a few things, and it's going to help me to narrow down the list. But one great thing that you can do is you can look for stocks that are trading under a certain amount. Now, I don't want to touch any of these. I don't want to really mess with, you know, penny stocks or anything like that. But maybe you might want to do a stock that's under $20. I don't know. You know, you can get some pretty decent stocks under $20 that are mid-cap stocks. You can also play around with things like patterns. I'm a person who loves to trade double tops and bottoms. I love wedges. So I might want to come over here and pick something that's maybe like a down wedge or something like that, a descending triangle. And it's just going to factor things or filter things out for you a little bit better. You know what I mean? I'm going to remove this just to show you like the possibilities that you can use this for. Obviously, since we're trading options here, please put it on optionable. To help you out a lot more too. But you can choose things like if you're someone who wants, you know, specific crossovers, if you're looking for death crosses, you would just, you know, change your moving averages, your shorter term moving average to go below your longer term moving average. There's so many things that you can do. But if you're looking for stocks that are inexpensive, this is one way to do it. I don't know what your budget is, but you can play around with this, and this is one way to do it. You can also go over here and look for target prices. You know, if something has an analyst upgrade, you can do, you know, the target is 30% above what the current price is right now. And that'll help you filter these things out even more. So we went from 8,000 some odd stocks to now we're at 28. And you can just keep messing around with this. And this right here will help you out so much if you're just looking for certain things. I showed you guys one other thing before, and I'm just going to take you back there really quickly. And then I went in depth on this in my course as well. But if you're someone who likes to trade certain patterns, you can legitimately come over here. I see people talk about head and shoulders all the time. If you trade head and shoulders patterns, you could come over here, click on that, and it's going to bring up a lot of things that are currently trading a head and shoulder pattern. Same thing with the double tops and double bottoms. You have that over here. So please, you guys, familiarize yourself with FinViz. It'll help you out so much. You have your heat map here to show you what's going on in the market. I urge you guys to really take advantage of this. And YouTube is your friend. Google is your friend as well. That's all I got. Any more questions, you guys? Ray, we're good?
Yeah, I don't see any more.
Okay. All right. All right, so if there's no more questions, you guys, we're gonna let you enjoy what's left of your Sunday. If you enjoyed this class, please be sure to add us as well as the Wealth Squad and let us know how you felt about the class. And I hope you guys have an amazing, weekend, and let's make some money tomorrow.